We'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call by the commission secretary.
Here. Here. Here.
Mr. Burridge.
Here.
Mr. Huckabee.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mr. Regan.
Here.
Chair declares a quorum present to conduct business. And the first item being item 74, approval of the minutes of the Transportation Commission meeting of May the 1st, 2017. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. I didn't get here quick enough to see all the visitors, but want to thank everybody for coming and being interested in what's going on here. And we'll move to item 75 through 79, which is the consent docket. And if there's a member that would like to have any item pulled out to discuss separately, we will. Otherwise, we'll hear a motion for items 75 through 79.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Pass that down to her. Item number 79 is the engineering contracts. Mr. Tiegler will present those.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, members of the commission. Item 79 are engineering contracts. I have 3 this month. Part A is a statewide contract. This is our standard drawings for our on-system roadway precast storm sewer structures. This is, we've selected H.W. Lochner to provide standards for us. This is a total not to exceed $120,024. Part B is statewide as well. This is our overload permit studies. We've selected Grossman and Keith Engineering Company to provide these study services for us. This is a total not to exceed amount of $500,000. And finally, Part C in Craig County, we have selected Tetra Tech to do the engineering and prepare construction plans for US 60. These are 2 construction sets of plans. This is a total not to exceed of $1,772,640. Both of these projects are in our 8-year construction work plan, and they're scheduled for an FFY 2024. Answer any questions. Approval is recommended.
You've heard Mr. Tiegler's presentation on item number 79. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item 79 passes. We'll hear the presentation for item 80, the engineering contract supplements. Mr. Tiegler.
Item number 80 are supplements. Part A, I have 2 this month. Part A is in Sequoyah County. This is with Tetra Tech. This is I-40 interchange at US 64 in Salisaw. Supplement not to exceed amount is $18,478. This project is included in our 8-year construction work plan with a scheduled let date in FY 2018. Part B is Washington County. This is with PEC, Professional Engineering Consultants. This is to do the final design plans for State Highway 123 over Caney River. Supplement not to exceed is $396,274. This project is in the 8-year construction work plan as well in FY 2019. Approval is recommended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tiegler. You've heard the presentation for items A and B of number 80.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item 80 passes. We'll move to item 81. Mr. Atkins will present the programs.
Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, item 81 consists of the final August, the tentative September, and the tentative October 2017 bid openings, and the department recommends approval of item 81.
You have the information and you've heard the presentation for item 81, the lettings for August, September, and October. What's your
Motion
pleasure?
approved.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We also have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Item 81, the lettings passes. Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Item 82 are the change orders with a cumulative total of $75,000 or less, with an information item that Mr. Leonard will present. After he presents that, if you have no questions, he'll move directly into the change orders that are greater than $75,000.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary, Commissioners, I'd like to present item number 82, parts A through double Z. These are the change orders with a cumulative total, or on projects with a cumulative total of $75,000 or less. This is for your information only. No action is necessary, but I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the commission? Appear to be no questions. Mr. Leonard, you can move on to item 83.
Item 83, parts A through S. These represent change orders on projects with a cumulative total of change orders greater than $75,000, and your approval is recommended.
You've been presented with the change orders greater than $75,000. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 83.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We also have a second. Any discussion of this item? Hearing none, please vote. Item 83 passes. We'll move to item 84. Mr. Charette is going to present an industrial access road program in Commission District 3 in Pottawatomie County.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Secretary Ridley, members of the commission. Item 84 is an addition to the Industrial Access Road Program in Pottawatomie County, Commission District 3. The city of Tecumseh is requesting approval for an industrial access project for the Tecumseh Industrial Park. Logic Aviation, Accord Truck Equipment, Goodyear Tire, Yearwood Design Works, and Brown's Warehouse are investing more than $2.5 million for the new facilities there in the industrial park, creating 40 new full-time jobs. The proposed project has three parts. Part 1 begins at US 77, approximately 3,000 feet south of Benson Park Road, just east of US 177, and extends eastward for approximately 850 feet. The second part begins approximately 3,000 feet south of Benson Park Road, just east of US 177, and extends southward for approximately 730 feet. And the final part, Part 3, begins at Benson Park Road, approximately 920 feet, east of US 177, and extends southward for approximately 2,310 feet. The city of Tecumseh will be responsible for the initiation, construction, and completion of all work associated with this project. The estimated cost of the entire project is $592,500, with the department's participation not to exceed $357,000. We recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of approval for item 84.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. We'll move to the awards. Mr. Dales, number 85.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, good to see you here. Item 85 is in two parts. Part A are the deferrals from the April 20th, 2017 regular bid opening. The following items referred to by call order were deferred from the April 20th, 2017 bid opening in accordance with state statutes. It is now recommended that these projects be awarded to the low bidders. Those projects being call orders 30, 50, 70, 85, 100, 120, 135, 140, and 200.
You can go to item B.
Okay. Part B are recommendations for the May 18th regular bid opening. It is recommended that the following items for the May 18th, 2017 regular bid opening be referred to by call order be awarded. As call orders 10, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 120, 130, 140, and 150. It is recommended that the following items for the May 18th, 2017 regular bid opening referred to by call order be rejected. It's call order 65 and 125. This concludes our recommendations for award, and your approval is requested.
Just remind everybody, the deferrals are from our last meeting, where we deferred some projects. We're now recommending approval since we have a certain funding solution for them.
That's correct.
You've heard the presentation on awards, item 85, A and B.
Motion approved.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 86 is the fiscal year 2018 budget work program. And here comes our expert.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, and members of the commission. Agenda item 86 is for the fiscal year 2018 budget work program. The department is required to submit a budget work program to the Office of Management and Enterprise Services each June to provide budget authority for the upcoming fiscal year. In keeping with that process, the department is submitting for commission approval the fiscal year 2018 budget work program in the amount of $1.58 billion. This budget provides budget authority for 4 program areas: highways, counties, transit, and rail. The highway program is $1.3 billion, and the county program is $207 million. Transit program is $28 million, and the rail program is $26 million. Each one of you should have a spreadsheet provided to you. The highway program, the major change between the prior year and the current year is a $73 million extraction of cash, which we did not experience this year, which has allowed us to improve the highway construction program, and the difference is included in the balance there of $769 million. There's $57 million for right-of-way, $140 million for engineering contracts, and $160 million for the maintenance program. The major funding sources for the highway program consist of federal funds in the amount of $572 million, the roads fund of $468 million, and the state transportation fund of $153 million. County program, like I mentioned before, is $207 million. Primarily is consistent of $196 million for the CURB program. Its major funding source is the motor vehicle collections of $120 million. The transit program is $28 million, and it's primarily funded with federal funds of $22 million provided by the Public Transit Authority. And the rail program is $26 million, and its primary funding is from federal funds in the amount of $8 million, with a carryover of $13 million provided by the sale of the Sooner Sub. It's anticipated we are likely to have budget revisions in the upcoming year, and those revisions will be submitted to the commission for review and approval at the appropriate time. The department requests and recommends approval of this budget totaling $1,582,742,693. And I will try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that explanation. Do we have a motion on next year's budget?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. The motion passes. We'll move to item 87, which is the budget revision request, and you can continue on.
Okay. Agenda item 87 has 3 parts. Part A is a request to increase federal share of right-of-way by $3.1 million for unbudgeted federal revenue. Part B is an increase in engineering contracts by $8 million with unbudgeted federal revenue as well. And Part C is an increase to the county machinery and equipment fund by $40,000 for unbudgeted lease revenue. The department requests and recommends approval of this item.
Had the presentation for item 87. Can you consider that and give us a motion.
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second, any discussion? There being no discussion, we'll vote. Item 87 passes, thank you. We'll hear the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Mr. Secretary. It's a different director's report than we heard last month. It's a report that, while there were impacts to the 8-year plan, and we'll get into that in just a moment, but if you recall, the last time I was at this podium in this room talking about budgets and legislation and impacts financially, we were looking at a piece of legislation that was decreasing our next year's funding by $251 million. That impact, as you recall, would have stopped, suspended construction activities on several ongoing projects. Fortunately, we don't find ourselves in that position. I will tell you how much I appreciate this agency stepping up and putting a plan together of how to suspend those activities, and special accolades to the division engineers and their staff for doing that. It's painful because it's something you don't want to do. It's that assignment that you don't want to do. It's the thing this agency would never want to do, is to stop a project, especially for a financial reason. But that's where we found ourselves, and our division engineers did a great job putting together a plan and identifying those projects that would have most likely been the ones to suspend. But as I said earlier, fortunately we don't have to do that. The budget impact, based on what the legislature did and the budget bill, is $156 million. Shelley, when she was up here, she talked about, well, there was $73 million that got taken away last year that didn't get taken away this year. So last year, if you'll recall, the impact was $367 million. So these are not compared one year to the next. It's not like, well, we're better off than we were last year. These are cumulative because, as you recall, and you know this, I'm preaching to the choir, but we build our 8-year plan based on what's in the statute. So 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, we thought we were going to have a certain level of funding, and we put projects in that plan based on that level of funding, and now that funding level left last year in excess of $300 million, and this year it's leaving at $156 million is leaving out of the 8-year plan. So we have to adjust for that, and adjust we will, because that's the way we do it. So we'll adjust for that, but throughout the legislative process, I would be asked, and I know Secretary Ridley was asked the same question, and perhaps you were as well as commissioners. Well, if we take $100 million, will that affect the 8-year plan? Yes. Every dollar taken from this agency affects the 8-year plan. Every dollar. So if it's a $1, $100 million, it affects the 8-year plan. If it's $156 million, it affects the 8-year plan. And that's what the 8-year plan will be affected. The difference between what we were talking about last month and the difference we're talking about now is $100 million. That $100 million was the difference in shutting down projects this year, ongoing projects, and affecting the 8-year plan, or affecting the 8-year plan is where we find ourselves today. That $100 million was the difference. I can't tell you exactly how tight that would have been. We were looking at that as the legislature was closing out their activities.
It's more of a question of cash flow than budget and stopping the projects. And that $100 million was the difference.
That $100 million, yes, Mr.
What we
Chairman.
got in our hand right now.
That's right. Because they would have had to, it is a situation of cash flow, because they would have had to take more of the money that we have on hand
Right.
to make it work.
I think that's something that we all understand, but maybe some others didn't, and I wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
we pointed
it was
that
a
out.
difference in cash flow. So as we proceed, we will be looking at the 8-year plan, and I've already spoken to a couple of you about the future of the 8-year plan, and I'll talk to you guys individually about that and what we want to do in that regard. But as we start this year, there were a couple of other nuances that occurred during the final days of the budget, which was typical year. It's a hurry up and things are going to happen quickly. When we woke up, I think it was a Thursday morning, that last Thursday, there was $1 million taken out of passenger rail and $1 million taken out of transit and $1 million taken out of the way station revolving. We were able to change that and have all $3 million taken out of way station revolving, quite frankly, because the impact to the Heartland Flyer, taking that $1 million out of the Heartland Flyer subsidy would have changed the Heartland Flyer maybe forever, but we would not have been able to continue on our current frequency of trips. We've already downsized that train because of federal budget concerns. And last year, there was money taken out of passenger rail. Taking an additional $1 million this year would have rendered it where we would not have been able to make daily trips on the Heartland Flyer. So I didn't want that to happen, so I was able to visit with the legislature, and they took care of that. The other one was the public transit, that $1 million. That's the $1 million that helps our rural public transit operators match federal funds. And I didn't want any federal funds to be lost. So I appreciate the legislature changing that in the final hour so that we could preserve those two programs going forward. As we continue on with the 8-year plan, you know, commissioners, that we're going to do everything to meet our goal with our structurally deficient bridges. The last official number that we have as of April was 251. We're down from 1,168 to 251, so we're about 3.5% of our bridges are structurally deficient. One time there's 17%, so we're down to 3.5 on our way to less than 1%. We're going to stay focused on that goal as best we can. Is there any questions I might be able to answer about the budget? I have a couple of other items, Mr. Chairman, but I thought maybe I'd break it up for the commission's benefit.
Does a member have a question of the director regarding the budget? Okay, carry on.
Okay. Well, there's a big project going on just over the hill here. And two of the prime movers are sitting to my right back here, Jeff Allen and Damon Markwell, and they have been working 24/7 since last Friday night at 8 o'clock. And I've got a sneaking suspicion they're going to perhaps get it open a little bit earlier than originally scheduled, but I just wanted to take a moment and show our appreciation, the department's appreciation for the patience of this city, and a special appreciation to the media for their constant reminders before the closure and during the closure that this is going on. Once this is opened, it's not complete. This was just to get some things done that we needed to get done with nobody around. There's still construction going on and will be for several more months. The lanes are even going to get tighter in a few weeks, few months. So I still caution people going through there, if you have to go through there, know that it's a big construction zone. Be careful. But if you don't have to go through there, don't go through there. Please find an alternative route. The last thing I want to mention, just a quick update on our rail crossing program. You approved some more crossings. That takes us up to 227 locations around the state. 89% of those are on local roads. We have a few of them on the highway system, but 89% of them are on local roads and involving both Class 1 and Class 3 railroads. And you've heard me say this before, but I really appreciate the railroad's involvement in stepping up to make this happen. You know, we had an opportunity, but without the railroads helping us with this effort, it could not be done. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Director. We really appreciate your efforts, the Secretary's efforts, and the staff during this last legislative session. I don't know that we got everything done that needed to be done, but I'll turn it over to the Secretary for comments and questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, to kind of digress a little bit, you talked about the $151 million that was taken out of your budget. Help us out a little bit. We were sitting here with, call it a $900 million shortfall into the budget year. And that was established by a group called the Equalization Board. Is that correct? They're the ones that determine how much money it will take to operate the state at its current level and what they anticipate the receipts will be for the upcoming year. Is that how that works? And Director Patterson sits in on those meetings, so it's good that we have him here. You have two, refresh my memory a little bit, you have two accounts that are certified by the Equalization Board, do you not?
Yes, sir. There are two that we primarily use, and that's the income tax is certified, obviously, by the Board of Equalization, so they can tell the legislature what the estimated revenues are, and we get a portion of that. And then the motor fuel tax is also certified by the Board of Equalization.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the income tax, which goes into the roads fund, which really is what helps you fund your 8-year construction work program, as I recall, that number that was certified was 571 or something thereabout. Is that correct?
Yeah, the total income tax was much larger than that, but yes, they did set aside 571 that was supposed to go to the roads fund.
Okay, so that was a certified account.
Right.
The car tax, or the gas and diesel tax, that is another certified budget that goes to the department. That was at what was the number on it? 205.
That was certified this year with a slight increase from the previous year at 208 for this upcoming year.
So 208. So what made up the $900 million shortfall was included in that number was the 571 and the 208 that should have come to the agency. By statute, would go to the agency. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, but some 50 million or so was taken out of the gas and diesel, and 100 or so was taken out of the roads fund for that 150 million. Is that somewhere 150, 151 million? Is that correct?
It was 153. So it was 53 out of gas tax and 100 out of.
Okay. So that meant that the actual deficit of the state that they were dealing with was not 900 million. It was some 747. Is that correct?
Right.
The 153 million off the top that was taken from the agency. So the balance that they were balancing to for all other parts of government was some 747 or thereabouts.
Yes.
I think that's kind of the impact that I think that everyone needs to kind of understand, that the legislature, in order to balance the budget, use the numbers that were given to them by the Equalization Board and the additional revenue that they had, were able to secure, and then the rest of the agencies had to absorb some of those losses. But you heard some numbers like 4.5%, 6.5%. I think if you take the 153 off of the, 725 or thereabouts? 775. 775, take the 153 off of that. I think it'll be a double-digit % reduction in the agency. So that's the numbers that Director Patterson has to deal with, because when he, again, correct me if I'm wrong, when you develop your 8-year program and you sit down with these businessmen and women to make those decisions as to how to spend that money, you're basing it on existing statutes,
That's correct.
which would have been the 571 and the 208,
Yes.
based on those numbers. Now you'll have to go back and alter that and reduce that somewhere around $153 million somehow.
Correct.
So, and that's where he's talking about the impact to the budget. I think if I may, Director Patterson and I were over at the Capitol quite a bit. Certainly you were at the Capitol with us, as well as Commissioner Love, and to talk about various things that the governor had put in her state address as to how we could maybe change how we fund state government and how things could be done. And I think there were some positive things that came out of the legislative session. I think there were some positive things. Certainly there were missed opportunities, you know. And we don't think sometimes that things like the criminal justice reforms that were being discussed that were never passed, that, oh, by the way, you voted on last year, but the laws were never passed this year, affect transportation. Sometimes we don't think that the health care in our state, the money that is needed to help our most vulnerable people, the young and the elderly and the people that are the working poor, we don't think that affects our budget in transportation. We don't think that educating our young people, our kids, whether it's common ed or higher ed, we don't think sometimes that has any effect on our transportation budget or our system. Safety and security, the fact that the prisons are at their peak level ever of incarceration, or that the highway patrol is unable to really monitor the traffic volumes that are on our highways that protect our citizens. Sometimes we don't think any of those things affect our transportation budget, but I think that Director Patterson can tell you without any hesitation that all of those things affect our transportation budget, do they not, Director?
Yes, sir, they do.
If you look at the difference between Oklahoma and a third world country, the difference is those 4 items that I mentioned: the health system of our citizens, the access to health care, the ensuring that people can not only secure health care, but that we can also take care of the health, again, of the most vulnerable, that we have safety and security that protect our citizens against our citizens, that we have an education system that ensures that our young people will not only prosper more than what we have, but that they will be able to attract business to the state because we have a well-educated workforce. And education, quite frankly, is the key to a lot of things, both in safety and security and incarceration rates, as well as health care. Education is a key to a lot of that. And then, of course, the infrastructure system. Those 4 things, to my way of thinking, are the things that compare us to a third world country. And if you don't fund those, then you become that third world country. And the reason that third world country is where they're at is because they do not. But we had some disappointments and things that weren't accomplished this year that we wish they would have. Certainly the governor had laid out a plan that I would have hoped that more would have recognized the importance of it. But I know that the director will do his best to ensure that the projects in the program are the most critical, and that you will ensure that you'll do the very best with the monies that you've received. And for that, all the work that you've done over there at the Capitol, not only this year, but for many, many years, I want to say thanks. Sometimes you don't get people to listen. You say the right words, but sometimes it's difficult for them to hear. But again, I just wanted to tell the director thanks for the work they did. Thank you for going over to the Capitol, and you as well, and any of you others that have done that work. But it was disappointing, to say the least. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it's kind of like the Oregon Ducks. They're going to have to say, well, there's always next year. And there is, and I would just hope that we learn something from this session, and I don't mean ODOT or the director or the secretary or anybody individually, but, you know, it seems like we had a perfect opportunity and many opportunities to do something different. We just didn't quite get there. But I know everybody will work hard next year. Our governor, our legislators, and all the agencies. And I look forward to that, as I know you do, and I know you do, and I know the commission does, as well as everybody in the audience. Do you have anything further?
No, sir, I don't.
Anybody on the commission? Nothing further. We'll hear a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. We are adjourned.